This is from a book by Cadwallader and David Gagne. And the pieces up top, Beethoven Sonata, Piano Sonata, Opus 10, number 1, which I think is in C major. No, C minor.
Oh.
Yeah, it's in C minor. And then this movement happens to be in A flat. Slow movements, inner movements tend to be in another key. So then, underneath it, you've got two graphs, graph A, and graph B. Can you give me a description of A? What kind of graph is that? Foreground. And how about B? What would you say that?
Middle ground.
Middle ground. Not background, right? There's still some detail
Too
there.
much details.
Yeah, too many details for that. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these things that are going on in this graph. In my bass clef to show 1, coming right back to 1. Okay. Neighboring motion. And then on top, how do you interpret this C? What is it?
Is it an escape?
Escape is always
No.
following the note.
Mm.
Appoggiatura. So what should I do with an appoggiatura?
You
Put it slower.
slur, and then you put a flag on the V.
Stem on that one to
Yeah,
show
yeah,
this.
with a flag.
Yeah, I should do that. Why should I put that flag on there?
Because it's showing
Because
the
neighbor.
relationship to it, how that it doesn't show as much as it's the importance thing
It's not as important as
the C
That's the
going
following
into
note.
the A.
as the A flats on either side. Yeah. Okay, so we've got neighboring motion down here and up here, and that flag is good because it's going to help me see that it's subordinate to. It helps me see that the C is subordinate to the B
Right.
flat, and then the B flat is subordinate to the A flat. So it's nice to have that tiered thing: quarter, eighth, and then the unstemmed note. That's good. So
Would you
that's-
consider the A natural that comes right after that a passing to the next chord?
yeah.
That
Yes.
you don't- Is that what that be? Because it's not
Mhm.
part of the chord.
So we'll do this just to clarify that,
Right.
show us passing motion, even though those, the A flat and the B flat aren't really related.
Right.
But that's how you show the passing.
You don't
Make it
label it
obvious.
with a P over it like we would normally do. You
Nope.
just don't acknowledge it.
They don't even slur, you see,
Right.
probably because they want to be consistent. Don't slur it unless they're connected. But Schenker actually does that all the time to show us even a stepwise connection like that. Okay, now, what would you do, and I don't want you to just do what they do, but what would you do in the next measure? Measure 3.
Same thing, note up.
Like so. And harmonically. So I'm lined up here. Okay, so what are you, if you do this, how are you going to interpret your bass notes?
We'd have to show displacement, you know.
Incomplete neighbor.
This and
Yes.
incomplete neighbor to this guy, and connect
Yeah.
those two?
And connect
Yeah.
those two.
Okay, good.
Related.
So we're saying we've just changed to 5. We have first inversion. Now notice what we just did. We made 1, the tonic triad, the A flat triad right there, subordinate to dominance. Whoa, did they do that? Yeah, they did. Normally people say, okay, that's 1, that's a resolution, and I'm going to make that my stable thing. See how that can be too? You'd say, okay, I want tonic expansion here. I see 1, 5, 6 going to 1. There we are, tonic expansion. And then motion to here. But why did we do this? Well, we started with the melody, and I think that's good. The melody influenced our interpretation of the bass. instead of saying unstable, stable, and then, oh, there's a stable 5. Let's say, oh, this is all tonic, and then there's my something like that. Instead of doing that, we started here with a significant change to a new harmony. All of that because we started with the melody first. So context matters, and this melody, oh, I wrote that twice. There's an ascent going on here. We're heading up. Anstieg, the ascent. Okay, then another passing tone up to here, and they made it big because they're going to say, hey, this is the Kopf tone, and my Urli will head down from there. Okay, and I buy that. But look what they do. Next, you've got some notes that they circle. What happens to those circled notes if you'll drop down to graph B?
Should re-register.
Yeah, they're put down below. Are they up above now?
Right.
No. In fact, they've always, even in the foreground, they are in both registers. Do you see that? So can you what are they saying here? By putting them down at the middle ground, by putting them in an inner voice at the middle ground, what are they saying? What are they asserting here?
They belong to the chord. I mean, to the main chords.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they actually
Are
Are-
as inner voices
yeah.
of the most important notes.
They're inner voices, and they only they're like pretenders to the throne, right?
Mhm.
They're trying to stage a coup or something here. They're trying to take over, but they're pushing them down, saying, no, you belong here, demoted, stay down. You know. So they're saying that they should have been inner voice notes, but they're trying to take over the world here, and they're trying to jump in the limelight. Bunch of divas. Altos, they do try to take over. Look out. Okay, so the diva complex sets in, and all of a sudden this goes way up here. And you're like, okay, whoa. My E flat just shifted way up. And then, oh, no, I gotta do this too. So we've got our A, let me make sure everything's lined up here. Yes. A flat, invert it here. Okay. I gotta make one more point before we go on with this registral shift thing. That's really important, and we're gonna come back to it for sure. But do you see the unfolding marks that they're using here?
Yeah.
Mhm.
They don't really need that, because they could just say, let's stem this, and let's stem, which one are they? They're gonna stem this one. So in a way, they don't really even need to do this. Abby, you're right. It's not necessary, but they're using it to make a point. Because this is so sort of counterintuitive most of the time, to elevate a 5/6. They're saying, well, you know what, it might look like a big deal, but it belongs here. Now, did they deem it like that? See what they're saying? That looks like the main bass note, but it actually belongs as an inner voice here, and it just clarifies it a little bit more. To say, that looks kind of strange, but the reason I can do that and not see this as a resolution is because I'm viewing it all as basically dominant, with some real support under it, root position. Mm-hmm.
My initial inclination with this was to probably put the stem on the G, to show the instability of the 5 chord, which returns right back to the 1.
Here.
Yeah, so it would make maybe the tonal expansion more clear. I don't know. Like, since the A flat keeps going, it's like
I'm with you.
a tonic expansion. Would you want to like make the G more important so that the 5 chord is more unstable, showing that it's still kind of 1-ish?
I'm with you now. Okay, so you're taking that perspective,
Yeah.
and you're saying, why not, since it is the first one, why not forget about this and say, no, that is the main note, and now I'm moving down to some other note, and there we are.
Yeah.
Or more like a neighboring motion. neighbor, incomplete neighbor, the way it's played out with this register thing, the jump up here. Ooh, I like it. That works too. Now, that does not contradict that at all. If we were to pull out this A flat as stable, as we were talking about before, it'd be another thing. We would have a contradiction between our top part and our bottom. But what you're saying does not contradict at all. This still is basically dominant, but we're saying it's, I should quit using my finger. These nasty chemicals are in here. So, yeah, you're saying 1, 5, 6, 1 is perfectly fine too, so why not have that as the more middle ground event, for this. Good point, that works too. So I want you to find these guys and you guys can just duke it out. Now there's no real right answer there, so you can duke it if you like. Okay, so here's what they're doing. And I want to get back to this registral shift business. The reason I went back to show that unfolding is because there's another one here. And here, they're taking the lowest note. Which one do they think is the main note?
C.
They're saying this. So you're saying the motion gets to our 1 here, Abby? I like that. And what they're asserting is this. And so they can't do what you did. Oh. If they want 1/6 as the main harmony here, they don't want to pick this 5, do they? Because that would have to resolve here. Okay, so you can see a real difference between what you just said and what they are asserting.
Yeah.
Do you follow that?
Yeah, I would have probably swapped that one too and called the C an incomplete neighbor to the D of the flat of the 4th chord. I got it.
Yeah. Either way, though, this is still 2 members of the tonic.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly fine, though, to have 4, be its own. Is that a 4? Yeah, it is.
So always the note with the stem up is the prominent one.
No,
The
it's the
bass
other
is the one with the note, the stem down. And they are not saying this is an inner voice to that, so they can't do this. They can't do this -1. They have to do this to show that that is an inner voice to that. Does that make sense? They're saying that's the main note.
Yes.
This looks like the main note, but it is an
I
inner
understand what you're
voice.
saying, but I'm saying if the stem, if here's the note and the stem is going up,
Mhm.
that's showing that that note is prominent, right?
Actually, if it's the bass, it'll be the downward stems that show. So when they do this, you're saying that's the main note.
Right, I know that about the stem. I'm talking about the coupling thing.
Oh, you mean the beam there?
Does it matter?
Oh, the beam. Okay.
Yes.
Well, this beam says if you're in the bass clef, okay, this means that this first note looks like it's the most important, but it's tucked away under here, and that's the main one.
Right.
If we're in the bass. Okay, now let's go back to the really cool thing about this is that when you have the more, almost like, I can almost say this, the more transformations that happen, the more you see how the composer has asserted himself or herself into the picture, because you see their hand at work, right? You see what it could have been. We could have just descended from here, scale degree 3, and taken a straight shot down. But this, notice in the score what's happening. There's a crescendo. Measure 5, see it? And the melody, what's it doing?
It's going up.
It's ascending. He's going to build a climax that goes above and beyond anything that the melody had to do. And that makes it all the more important and expressive and ear-grabbing.
Right.
Captures your attention because you're already on scale degree 3, you could just ascend, and here he goes against the whole flow of it and says, no, I want to go up. And so in a way, but you can read the foreground against the backdrop of the middle and say, now that is significant. He's exerting energy here. He's having to say, no, I want to take that inner voice thing and I'm going to put it up here, put it in the limelight, even though you wouldn't have expected it to happen. Cool. All right, so we see the composer's hand here making a decision that goes kind of against the grain of what would have had to do, descend. And to win that high register, the A flat, he's pulling his E flat, F, and A flat, these notes from the inner voice and putting them all up there. Oh, I already have my thing over here. E flat, F, and am I right, is that an A flat? I knew the climax, and I know that's an A flat.
Yeah.
All right, and so these get pulled up above. Now, I think we need to quibble a little bit with the end and just see that there are other options for how this goes. So let's deal with the next part. Let's deal with the descent and how it works out. Bear with me a second, I'll draw some lines here. This pen is dying a slow death.
Suffocation.
Mouth to mouth here, anybody? Anybody?
That'd be real toxic.
With the marker,
My
yeah.
finger's already hurting. I'm gonna hurt my lips. Okay. let's see. Ah, bright. Isn't that beautiful? Just look at that.
I love a good marker.
Okay.
Show.
All right, here's what they're doing. All right, their symbol shows 4. And they put 1. Not really pretending to be 1. And then goes to 5. Okay, so they've got an interruption, I should write up here. And let's see, rethink this. What would you do if you saw this progression? Start with harmony. I'm going to bias you here. And I'm going to go Abby with yours back here.
You said to start with the harmony and not think about the melody this time.
Actually, you can go either way, but what would you do with 4, 5, 6, 5, 1?
La, sol, fa, mi, re. La, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Until do. Yeah.
It's embedded, so.
Yeah.
we would-
I heard that, and you want to
Yeah.
start over
I
here?
think it's very, very interesting.
Okay, good. You can do that.
Yeah.
All right, harmony, give me some
It's
support, please.
embedded.
4, 5, 1.
Say that loud.
It's embedded, it's not stable.
Say that louder.
And you can say, yeah, you can put in parentheses and it works. Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're really saying something very different. We're saying that's basically tonic elaborated.
Yeah.
Right, so.
And the real harmonic motion is going to happen right across the bar line into that very last
Right.
dominant arrival.
Right.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's way different. We got to get rid of this. What are they doing then? They're taking this 1 and they're making it part of an arpeggiation. Do you see that?
Mhm.
Mhm.
What are they
Re,
saying?
fa, la.
It's a triad component.
Mm-hmm. So what's being expanded in their mind?
The triad, and so being
The
expanded
chord.
all the way
That
to the
chord.
dominant.
The predominant, the 4. They're seeing this as the 4 arpeggiated out with some passing motion. What are we going to do? Get rid of that slur, do something else. We have to do this, right?
Yeah.
They belong to the same chord. the same
Maybe
triad.
with the A too.
Do
Until the
D
A,
up to the F.
another
I mean,
slur.
to the F up to the A.
Re, fa, la.
Oh, G to E.
So the G becomes passive.
Okay, so we could still do this, I guess,
Yeah, that's
couldn't
what
we?
I read. I read them
Hmm.
it's unstable 6/5, so it's not as
Mhm.
strong.
Yeah.
Could
So
we
you
not?
could almost consider it a passing.
Let's look at the music and see which should be stemmed. Am I right? Am I okay keeping their stem there?
I would just take the 1 all the way over to the last one.
You
Is
mean
that
this
possible?
one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you're saying,
Maybe
let's
couple
show
You know what I mean?
a slur, it's gonna be a weird slur if I do that. How about if I go this way,
Yeah.
like so?
Yeah,
Now that matches our new reading.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that allowed to do that?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Okay.
Can you connect the C to the C, the C
Now if I,
to
you
the
mean to
E
the E?
flat, and then say the D is passing?
that's what they're doing.
That's what they're doing.
And so we're trying to come up with another way. Now, they didn't quite make it obvious. Oh, they do a pretty good job. They're thinking of it as a neighbor to the 5 primarily. So they're gonna connect this to that. And you can kind of see why they're going that way, because of, as soon as you draw those slurs, it's like you're saying it's mainly plagal motion to 1, and then this is just passing within it. See what they're doing? But if you think about it this way, look at how different your melodic descent is. Now I don't want to touch that note.
Okay.
But if this 1 supports this C, see what we got going? We got it back. To go with this slur, we're saying it's basically tonic in the bass. We're seeing it as basically scale degree 3 embellished. How's it embellished? How's C embellished?
See,
The
embellished what?
The
What?
D above the 4 chord?
Good. What should I do with that note to clarify?
Neighbor.
Neighbor.
That's
Get an
neighbor.
eighth
You
note.
should put a flag.
Flag it. There you go. Okay, and I might even extend it, just make it really obvious,
Yeah, that's hidden.
so that that slur crosses it, and then you know, okay, that's.
Yeah, and
Part
they
of
did it
that.
perfect too.
Okay, now look at that. You've got this D going on all the way along here. It's part of the 4 chord still. You change chords, now it's the chordal, what? What element in the chord is it?
What, the D?
The root.
Oh, no, it's the root, it's inverted. So-
Here's the
The
root.
4. Oh, that chord.
So what does it become
The
here?
7th.
The 7th of the chord.
Section.
E, G sharp, E flat, G, B flat, D flat. Yeah,
So C re.
and so now it has to come down.
Oh yeah.
But it's been there, it fits every single chord up to that point, so we can see it is finally resolving here back to the C. Now here's C continuing, because it's still just the 1/6 now, but still 1. And still we have all of this going on, and so I'm totally on board with their interpretation. I need to give you a word for this. These are called covering tones. That's when something that's an inner voice note ends up obscuring the descent by showing up in too high a register. When notes that are inner voice entities in your interpretation end up too high and therefore above melody notes in your descent, that is called a covering tone, or all the notes covering tones, plural. Yeah.
Can you kind of repeat that again?
Whenever inner voice notes that don't participate in the descent, show up above that descent, they're called covering tones. Inner voice notes that appear above the median, or above the middle line. Fundamental line. That's called a covering tone. Now here, let me just do a few things to tidy this up. Here's our 3 continuing, and that's just embellishment, all motion within the cadential 6/4. These 2 go together. Did they do that? Nope, they just moved them. Probably because it would have been too messy, I don't know. But yeah, there it is. We don't really need to do that, but there it is. We're making it to do out of this. I would almost want to do, I'm going to give you another interpretation. Here's what I would want to do to reinforce ours.
Yeah, it shows a harmonic.
1,
progression.
4, 7, 1, and let's do this. And if we want to really make the case, we might even do something like this. I don't know if this is, would this make sense to make this a neighbor to this? I don't know. Is that how we'd hear it? I'm a little bit dubious about that. It just came to mind. I don't know. Would that make
Is it because
sense?
of the inversion that you would flag it, that it's not as important?
Yeah, I'm trying to take this note and see it as an incomplete neighbor to that, which then elaborates
see.
that. So that's layers upon
Right.
layers instead of something, one thing being embellished by arpeggiation.
I don't know, because the 4 chord is this like big forte piano rolled chord, so, and then it's
Okay,
kind
so
of
we need.
like 4, and now we're resolving.
Yes, I think you're right. I don't like it. Okay, let's do this. And say we got 4, 5, 6, 5, 1, just like so.
So can you say tonic and dominant? Finish that, right? Prolongation.
Yeah, tonic, does that mean tonic?
And
Tonic.
dominant.
Yeah, that's right. In our view of it. Now, they're trying to see it as tonic, predominant, and then dominant. They're seeing all this as subordinate to the 4. We just reversed it and made the motion to 1 through the dominant more important. We're saying embedded progression, they're saying all 4.
Why? Why 4 looks so important? Because between 1, 1.
Probably because it's just so attractive to go, oh, there we go. Slur, ta-da, right? Looks good. And there's nothing wrong, it's not incorrect. But I do have a little bit of a hard time with so they're viewing this note as finding resolution where?
To a C.
No.
Which note?
Look at, you have to look at what they do. Look at graph B. Do they hear the D resolving? D flat.
Mm-mm. They stick it to the B
Mm-mm.
flat.
They're saying that this D flat relates most to where?
B flat.
To the-
Neighbor to the before.
B.
I don't mean down there, I mean in this voice. Do you see the slur backward? They're saying it's an upper neighbor, incomplete neighbor, to the C
Oh,
before
yes,
it. You see that?
Yeah.
And they had to put a P over here on this note, the C,
Yeah.
to clarify that they're thinking of that as another step. So for them, it's incomplete neighbor here. Look at my fingers. You can follow. Watch the finger where it goes. Okay. C up to D flat, incomplete neighbor, and then down to here. And then another layer of elaboration comes along and says, let's fill in the gap between the D flat
So
and the B flat. You see what they've done?
So the P they're saying is a passing, so is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Passing.
D reserve C, right?
Say that again.
D reserve to C.
Yeah.
Now, that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
They're
I
not
don't
saying
know.
that. Do you like that
Because
better?
those would contradict, right?
Yeah, that
You
would
couldn't
be.
do both. That's why I just got very confused. Okay,
So we're
good.
saying-
I feel much
I,
better
you know,
now.
I like this. I like this better. You like this better than what they have.
Yes. Well,
Resolution.
I have a question.
Abby first.
Okay. Their interpretation seems to put a lot of emphasis on the 1. They stick in quotation marks. They like even out of the whole 4 chord, that is the one that has the biggest note value. Like they have a flag on the 4 beginning, the D flat at the beginning of the 4 chord, which doesn't really make sense to put that much emphasis on the rest of the 4 chord if we're still emphasizing 1.
Yeah, they should have gotten rid of that stem if they're gonna have this interpretation.
So yeah.
Because the quotation marks mean not really. It's a upper fifth of the 4, it's not really a 1 in the first place. But then, yeah, why put the stem on there? That's a little quirky. So if they had left off that stem, it would have made their interpretation a little clearer
Yeah.
visually. Sarah, you were gonna say?
I was, what was I gonna say about that?
You were gonna say you dislike ours or you like their, which one do you like better? I think is where you were gonna go with
I
that.
like this one because it, the stepwise descent down to the, where we have an interruption, but it's, from the D to the C to the B.
And you would prefer not to view that as a passing tone?
Well,
Between from here to
yeah,
there?
because it's a solid 1 chord right there, you know, it's a solid tonic, so I would think it would be more stable, but I don't
It's
know.
got a lot of stability, yeah.
I would have a
Especially
harder
at this
time.
point, can you still hear
Because
the
it's
D
going
flat
sub
as primary?
1. Yeah, because it's going
No, I have
down.
a hard time with that. You see what I mean? The D flat resolves to the C. I feel like that's a real stable point.
Right.
You, partly because of this resolution here, harmonically and melodically, chordal seventh resolving down. This is would be my preferred way of dealing with it, even though, technically there's nothing wrong with that one, but I definitely prefer this. Go ahead.
Just like a question, could you make an argument that the fundamental line ascends all the way to the A flat up top before it makes its descent? Because we have all the notes there.
Yeah. And
You
here's
know,
the
A
deal
flat,
though,
G, F.
you would never want this A flat in the mix.
Oh,
then
because we
these-
decided that it was an inner voice, or
Right, you know where I'm going, that's true. Okay, so if this needs to descend, you need to pick these notes, and they have the G has no support. So you don't want to pick this. So then you go, oh, I see what's going on, he's just pulled these notes up.
what if you
And
made the
then
G
you
a
back up
passing
and
tone
go-
to the F?
Then you go back one more and you go, well, okay, well, if we're gonna take one, why not just see it all? I mean, this line is there in the music.
Plus the,
I want to view it as one big chunk, 3 notes that are all elevated together. So if you take one, you want to take the rest. And then you don't want to treat this as the clef tone. You don't want to take it as the primary tone. Just for consistency.
Okay, what if we got rid of the covering tones? Theoretically speaking, could you make an argument for it then? But everything's gonna fall apart if you get rid of those.
you still want to be able to get back down there.
Climax. So, yeah, okay. So if we got rid of this note, then it would make total sense to pick that note and
No,
say,
no, no.
okay, neighbor, incomplete neighbor, and then, okay, yeah, I can buy it.
Well, no, but if you, God, I don't think that you're getting what I'm saying.
Try
If you
again.
make the fundamental line an octave descent,
No, you can't show.
You need support for the notes of the.
Oh, every single note that goes down?
Yeah,
Affects
that's
it.
why on when we look at Somewhere Over the Rainbow,
yeah.
Over the Rainbow, it's
Oh, there's a chord
It's
for
got a
every one
scale degree
underneath
7,
it.
but it's got a 3 chord to give it some solidity, to give it stability.
Okay.
That was an important thing. Leerlauf is what she means. Leerlauf. An empty run. Right? Empty run. We need our German expert here to help us out with these things. Yeah.
Question.
We
told her to
Yeah.
wait.
Okay,
Oh,
we're pretty,
sorry.
just put the Leerlauf on hold, you go ahead.
Way back in time when you explained the D that we have now, it was flagged with an eighth note.
Back in the Jurassic period.
Right. They said that it was an incomplete neighbor, and I just wanted to ask you, could you tell the story now? You know, the whole story of the melodic, how we connected it with slurs in our way. Like, what is the story?
Okay, once upon a time.
Well, then we can
There
start
was-
with the. We don't have to do the ascent, but you know where we start with the descent.
Oh, okay,
What is the D? Is it a neighbor now, or what is it? I don't know.
yeah.
It is
D
just an
flat.
upper neighbor. The
Yeah,
D flat.
D flat's an upper neighbor. So we've got our time, we've elaborated it, we know it's stable.
Mhm.
we say, okay, now from here, I'm gonna descend.
Mhm.
And I can get there, either way, we're good. We know that's good. We know that we've got our 5 for support there, good. Now, the only question is, how are we gonna deal with, and we know that these are the main notes that we need to understand. And we're saying that this goes with a 4 chord, and that 4 chord is a predominant to this guy.
Mhm.
So this resolution is where we find some measure of stability along the way.
Right.
This is, what do you call it, closed circuit?
Mhm.
This is a circuit that doesn't really go anywhere, you just, there's motion but circumscribed. In the orbit of the tonic, we've used some of these, that's what we're invoking here, this idea of motion without any actual progression. The progression we're saying happens here. They want to say the progression's from this 4 to this 5, not from here to there. We're saying the 4 goes to this 5 and not to that one. See the difference? Now, melodically, that means we're going to say that this C goes to a D flat here, and because this is going to resolve there, we're going to resolve it there too, up top. So we say D flat, part of the 4 chord, becomes a member of the dominant 7th, 5, 6, 5, and when it's there, resolves to the C. C is stable, the D flat is less so.
And this is easy to see because of taking all the upper voices that don't belong there. If you take those out, then it's easier to see that. I think I see it right now.
Yeah, if I
Yeah.
just erase all that and
Right.
do what they do at the middle ground, it would be easier to see.
Yeah.
And that's what the middle ground's for getting rid of
Okay.
details to make the descent more
And if I
obvious
take this
visually.
away.
So yeah, you can
Makes
just
sense.
start getting rid of all these guys, and you'll see where we're headed.
Right, and then you can see the
In our
result
playing
between the
back.
D flat and the C. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, just-
It is
Oh, wait, I gotta get rid of
so
that.
hard for me to get to this point.
But, you know what's kind of cool is, I mean, we've only met, what, 2 times on this topic? And even so, you can tell that, I mean, you can generate another option, right? You could have said, this is the bend progression. I'm gonna take this C and connect it to that one. I mean, you can all do that and come up with a critique of this one for it. That's pretty cool. Maybe you could have generated it,
Do that together.
but with some prompting.
I know, yeah.
Our group
group
exam,
homework.
how's that work?
Yeah,
Or you'll work together on it?
Yeah.
that
Would be
sounds
great.
great.